Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and first I want to thank you guys for being here. We may get some noise through the background because it's going to be dinner time. People are cooking, so just bear with any noise. For anybody who is watching the channel for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. And here's the thing: we on this channel talk about the 360 degrees of life. So we talk about your finances, your spirituality, we talk about your relationship, and we talk about your health. Well, today we're going to talk about your mental health. And the main thing about that, talking about your mental health, is the fact that, um, especially for black people, especially for black people, we are going to discuss this usage of the N word. Y'all know what it is. I ain't even got to tell you. I don't use the word, so I'm not even going to speak and use that word throughout this whole time frame that we're talking. Now, here's the thing that we're going to go through. We're going to go through some history concerning it, and we're going to talk about what's going on now, its relevancy, and what it really is, and the psychosis that most people, black people, are living through. And every time you get mad at a white person, I want you to stop first. If you ain't getting, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. You ain't getting mad at a black person, stop getting mad at a white person. You want to lie to yourself and say it's a term of endearment. What's up, Luther? What's up, CD? It's a term of endearment between black people. Keep lying to yourself and saying that. All right. But so I'm gonna tell you that's my stance right off the whip. So if you have issue with that, I don't care. I've been. Let me go ahead and say something real quick. It's been said to me that sometimes when I make videos, that I can sound or come off as demeaning or belittling to people who don't know what I know or think how I think. And I have over a period of time tried to make an effort to make sure that I am coming across not belittling to anyone, but trying to be helpful and educational towards people. But here's the problem. When it comes to this right here, this word here, if I sound like I'm belittling somebody, I don't give two rat's asses about it. If I sound like I'm being demeaning towards anybody, you can go kick rocks on this one. This is such a damaging and pervasive word usage mindset towards the black community that I can't be polite about it at all. I will not be polite about it. So let me also hit this. For everybody who listened to this, you from somewhere in Africa, you believe that your ancestry only starts here in America, but you melanated. When it comes down to it, I don't care where your ancestors are from. I don't care where your mama from, your grandmama from. I don't care what stories your family has told you, where your heritage come from. If you look like this, if you are melanated, to the world at large, you ain't nothing but an N-word. That's it. You can run around saying, I'm native to America. You an N-word. I'm from Nigeria. You an N-word. I'm from Egypt. N-word. I'm Kemet. N-word. It don't matter. If you black, if you look like this, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But to the society at large, to the way you're treated, to the way you're going to be handled by police, when they see you, the way you walk into a job interview, you to them ain't nothing but an N-word. So if you're going to get butthurt about that right now, I could care less. Just go ahead and put this statement out there so that there's no problem issues with the fact that this is how I'm talking about this subject. Now, there are two things that happened recently that really brought this to bear. Even though I was contemplating this for like a month, two things that happened recently brought this to bear. And that's the fact that, wait, let me answer a question before I want to be respectful to anybody's comments or questions because I'll get lost, I'll lose it. How does the word, um, how does that word amongst us have any power or a negative effect amongst us? Not saying don't extend our vocabulary, but being stuck on this man-made word is holding us back to move forward. I'm going to get deeper into that, CD. But let me go ahead and give you a little bit. We were taught as kids that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is one of the biggest lies that kids have ever been told in their lives. By the usage of words, Hitler was able to mobilize a minor group in Germany to be able to destroy the Jewish people. By a usage of a word, our ancestors who came across on slave ships, or if your ancestors were here, and look, I'm being a butthole about that kind of stuff. Your ancestors were here, then you were treated in a certain way simply because you were of a certain dark-skinned nature, and through that word, you were told and beaten and put into a condition. Now, when we walk around calling somebody the N-word, are we uplifting them? No. It is never a familiarization of family, of unity, of pride. It is always in a negative term how it has ever been came up. You are dumb. I can't believe that N-word did this. That's stupid. It is never something. Even when we try to say, oh my, even that is not a term of endearment because there's so much negativity around it. Rat poison has 90% cookie, 10% poison. I don't care how you clean it up or try to clean it up or try to reappropriate it. When you utilize that word, then subconsciously you are calling somebody something negative. You are casting them down. You're putting them lower than yourself. It became even so pervasive that when Irish people were looked upon towards the British people, the Irish were the ends of this society. It is always the ends of another society to lower a person beneath the other group. It has never been something positive. And we can say that it's a man-made word because all words are man-made. If I sit here and say that you're beautiful, it's a man-made word. But what does the word mean? What does the word bring to you? How does the word make you feel? How is that word received in the collective mind of everybody around you? Because you would not walk into an interview and say that, and it's another black person in a job interview that's worth anything and be like, oh, what's up, man? You wouldn't do that. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? When you're in a job interview, and let's say you got a degree in engineering, or you got a doctorate, or you're a doctor, would you walk into an interview and it's another black person? Would you call them that? Would you? Would you? Answer that question, please. Because if you would walk into a interview or say go to a bank and you're trying to get a loan and the loan officer is a black person, you're not going to call them that. Why not? It's a term of endearment. It has no power. It's uplifting, right? But why wouldn't you use it? You wouldn't use it. Why not? Because you know in the core of your being, you know in the trueness of your mind that that word has never, ever meant anything positive. Now, in light of, if you're not familiar with what's going on here in Georgia, two things happened in Georgia. The first thing that happened in Georgia, how you doing, Alexis? How you doing, Yamoja? Two things happened in Georgia. First, we had this little white girl and her boyfriend in West Georgia, in Carrollton, Georgia, which ironically is where my mother's family is from, in Georgia. And her and her boyfriend did it's a little TikTok thing where how do you make me? And people have the little notes and they pour some liquid into another thing. And, oh, I'm made with sugar. I'm made with spice. I'm made with everything nice. That kind of stuff. So they call themselves How to Make a N-Word. And they tell them, oh, don't have a job, pouring that in. Make good decisions. There's nothing in the cup. Make poor decisions. Pour that in. Go to jail. Pour a lot of that in. So they make this video. It goes viral. And then all of a sudden now and people get pissed. And now they can't go to college and they're getting kicked out of colleges. They're losing jobs. And of course now they're out. The girl is apologizing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Why y'all ruining my life? Y'all ruining my life because of stupid kid mistake. In a few years, people will forgive her. In a few years, colleges will forget and they will let her go to college and she will regain her life and she will get jobs and she will continue to live and live flourishly. Why? Because she's a little white girl. She's a little white girl who utilized that word in a very derogatory way because that's the only way that word has ever been used. And she will get off free of it. But if it was a little black girl who did that, it's not, oh, I'm making a teenage mistake. If she came out and said, oh, I'm going to make a hunky, I'm going to make a cracker, I'm going to make a chink, I'm going to make a gypsy, a Jew or whatever, and use a bunch of negative things in order to make that person, there is absolutely no way that person would be forgiven. We would sit up there and continue to berate that person. With that logic, you should know what and when to say certain situations unless you're just ignorant, but outside of a relaxed setting, saying that is acceptable. I'm going to, if, and here's the thing that I'm always saying about everything. If something is acceptable to you, then let it be for you. If somebody says that to me, I don't care if you're black or white, green, purple, yellow, male, female, it is not acceptable. Actually, the last physical alteration that I got into was because a black person that my brother grew up with decided he was going to keep calling me that. And when I asked him politely not to call me that, decided that he was going to punch me. Now, think about how pervasive that word is. That when I, as a grown man, I asked another grown man to not refer to me as that word, it incited so much anger in him that he decided to try to, well, he didn't try, he sucker punched me, right? And we got into a further physical altercation because of that. Now, if I had told him not to call me a bastard, do you think we would have gotten into a fight? You think he would have hit me? No. But I asked the man not to call me the N word, and he decided that he needed to punch me in order to do it. We have, that word has been a part of Black American society to the point where it was used as a divisive force to keep us separate, to keep us from unification, to keep us from being able to understand and work with each other. You a house Negro, you a field Negro. You one of them house. You go get a job, you try to better yourself, and you this, you that, you know. So, Coach, I'm 100% with you. I'm just pushing back for other people to get a full understanding of why we should use other words to respect each other. And I can appreciate that. Because here's the thing. Why I gotta call you mine when I can say my brother? My brother is a term of endearment. That means that you're close to me. That means that I respect you. That means that you have a place with me. You my family. My N-word? No, you're not my family. Not even slightly. But that word, was it ever created as an endearing word? Let's go with the history of it. Was it ever created as an endearing word? The word was created as a form of saying black. The word negro by the Dutch and by the Spanish, by the Latin negro, right? Which when slaves were brought over from Africa, it was then utilized as the word. The English translation of it became the Niger, actually, is how they originally spelled it. And there have been other spelling, Neger, Negger, Negus. There's different spellings depending upon the culture of the time in America, where you were Dutch or Portuguese and all these different kinds of groupings. But in America, during the 1600s, it was used to strip black people of their culture, to strip them of their religion, to strip them of their family, to strip them of their unity. Think about it. This word, even after slavery ended, it was still used to strip black people of their dignity and their unity. I was going to use as a picture on here, there was a book written, it was a children's book called 10 Little Ends. And the book goes on to say 10 little ends. Well, I don't know the numbers exactly, but it was like 10 little ends decided to have a meal. One choked himself, and then there were 9. Well, 10 little ends decided to dine. One choked himself, and now there are 9. You know, things like that. They get eaten by, one gets killed by a bear. One dies in his sleep. One goes to jail. And so this book, 10 Little Ends, right? These kinds of ideas, and of course they was all blackface looking with the big lips and the red lips and big eyes and just the stereotypical white racist thing that was done back in the day that is still done today. So all these things were put into place. Do you think they were put there to unify black people? They weren't. They weren't. Advertisements for against marijuana and heroin back in the early 1900s and early to mid 1900s, they depicted overly aggressive looking black men who were going to kill and rape the white women if we keep marijuana going, if we keep heroin going or keep cocaine going. They were going to get your white women, and white women are going to run loose to the black man, unless we get rid of this. And they would use, and that word was always used within the advertisement, within the speeches, within every aspect of it. Anytime newspapers used to publish and utilize this word, it wasn't until like I think the early mid 1900s before that word was like banned to be used in newspapers. Otherwise, it was freely used over and over again. It was freely used by plantation owners when they would describe a slave who was acting out against their master. You know, it was used constantly in that kind of format. It was used in order to describe. It was used to continuously describe black people, no matter what they were doing. Me and my wife was watching a show called The Nick, right? And in this show, The Nick, the doctor talked about how, and this is set in 1900, how this black cyclist went over to Europe and he's winning all these races and he's staying in castles and treated like a king, and over there he's treated like he's royalty. And with all his accomplishments and all he's winning, when he comes back to America, he's just an N on a bike. That's all he is, just an N on a bike. Vietnam soldiers went over and fought in Vietnam. They were N's over there, and they came home and was treated the exact same way. My grandfather fought in the Korean War. Talked about how he was treated over there. And then now, here's the thing. He was treated better by the Koreans than he was by his own white soldiers. And then the white soldiers treated him like crap. Then when he got to America, treated like crap even more. And see, we seem to think that since we've taken the word and supposed to flip it, that the word doesn't have the same connotation. Exactly. And that's my whole point. Like, that word left my vocabulary when I was in the 10th grade, 9th, 10th grade, sometime around there, is when I realized that this is idiocy. This is idiocy. You cannot take a word that has been used to strip people of their dignity. Think about it. You are a grown black man. You built a business. You got out of the house. You're taking care of your family. And here's this white person, can be of any level of economic, culture, class, whatever. And to them, you're still a boy and you're still an N-word. You still got to cow down to them. You still got to bow down to them. And the way they referred to you wasn't referring to you as, hey, black man, bow down to me. You weren't called a man. You weren't called a gentleman. No, you was called an N-word. To this day, Mayor of Atlanta, the governor of Georgia decides that he's going to open up Georgia on Friday and Monday. He's opening up Georgia. The mayor of Atlanta, black woman, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she says, nope, not Atlanta. We're not doing it. And she gets a text or a tweet that says, tell her, hey, N, shut up and open Atlanta up. Open up the city. And people say, it's 2020. I can't believe it. Yes, it is 2020. What else do you expect when you got a mountain that glorifies the Confederacy? You're still going to get that mentality. But the fact of the matter is that no matter how you try to reappropriate this word, no matter how much we utilize this word, it is still a destructive word. One of the things that bothered me, and one of the reasons why it left my vocabulary in high school, is because I was a person who loved conscious rap. KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, loved those groups. But then gangster rap, NWA comes out. It goes big. And the word is all that. Even in the name, ends with an attitude, right? And people glorify them, say that, oh, they fighting against the man. They F the police and all these kind of songs. And yeah, they had some songs that were good for the mindset of black people, but when you can't take all of that and lace it with this negative thing, and that's when all that reappropriation really got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I looked at it and I saw the idiocy of it. Just like even though this video ain't about this, just like I look around and when I see black women calling each other the B word, I'm like, are you seriously calling yourself a dog? Are you seriously calling yourself a dog by utilizing the B word, calling each other that? Let me sidebar this for just a second. I know we're talking about the N word, but let me sidebar this for just a second. For all my beautiful sisters out there who continuously call themselves bees and call their other friends bees because you know watch somebody on TV keep calling themselves that. You know watch Housewives of Atlanta, them calling themselves that, and all these other reality shows, and then you knew family. Because back in when I was growing up in the 80s, if another woman called another woman a bee, y'all was about to get into a fight. There was disrespectful all to be damned. There was nothing respectful about calling each other that. But let me break it down for you a little deeper so that you can really understand it and feel it and see where it goes. You see, back in the day, back in the land of Kemet and Southern Africa, when they looked up into the stars, they saw what is now called the Orion's belt, and they saw Osiris. They saw a king. All right. They saw other African kings in the stars, what we call Osiris. And that belt, those three stars, that belt pointed straight to Isis' womb. The womb of Isis is what those three stars point directly to every night, and especially on December 25th, it points directly to it. Now that was the womb of Isis, the king's belt, pointing to the womb of the queen. But then when the Greeks came along, they changed it to Orion the hunter, and they changed Isis to the Canis Major. They went from calling Isis a queen, because if you understood the city of Paris, Isis is actually where there were temples of Isis. Paris is named after Isis. But this queen was then changed from a queen into a dog. And then the king had sex with the dog to birth the son, if you really want to break it down a little bit. So every time you're calling yourselves bees, then you are just continuing to allow a male-dominated ego to diminish your queenship. Do you really get that? That the Greeks decided to change it from a king and a queen to a king and a dog. So every time you call yourself a bee, all you're doing is continuing to proliferate the idea that you ain't nothing but a dog to be boned and bring forth a son. That's it. And they look up in the stars, and I see it every night, because actually it's right in that part of the stars of my house every night when I see it. So Sirius, the star Sirius, is supposed to be the womb of a queen, but y'all have allowed it to be called the womb of a dog, and now you're referring to each other as that. That's not endearing. It cannot be reappropriated in any form or fashion. The word was originally created to refer to a female dog, and that's what you want to call yourself. If you call yourself a female dog, now I'm just going to tell you to bark. Just bark then. Why don't you just start barking? All right? But back to the matter at hand. Let's get back to it. That N-word. Reappropriation of it. Now, how did it really become pervasive in the black culture? Because even if you watch a 70s, the blaxploitation movies, when another person called another person that, they meant it derogatorily. They did not mean it in a loving manner. They didn't mean it in something like, we cool with it, it makes us more family. Go back and look at some of those blaxploitation movies. Never did it mean something nice and great and something that's family. It wasn't until the 80s and 90s of that gangster style rap and those types of movies that who controlled the music at that time? White people. And they still can control it for the most part, but the internet is making it a little bit more balanced. But white people controlled it. And what they did was they took the mindset of Generation X, us, me, my group, took the mindset of Generation X and kept saying it over and over again in the form of music and then other forms of entertainment, to the point where even on BET, you had people on BET back then saying that it is a term of endearment, but let a white person call me that and I'm gonna beat that butt. But we'll say that. And we kept making it a term of endearment for ourselves through the 80s and the 90s. And one of the other pervasive ways that it was done is that newspaper articles were written in the 80s or the 70s and 80s that started to say that the N-word wasn't a word that meant a derogatory expletives towards black people, but it was a term that meant anyone can be ignorant. Anyone can be, that's a status below you. Anyone that's acting foolish. So therefore, a white person can be an N-word. An Asian person can be an N-word. whoever, an Indian person from India can be an N-word, a Native American can be an N-word, and black people bought into that BS. Do you know how many black people that I've had this conversation with, where their first thought, especially of my generation, where their first thought is, it's a word that can mean anybody. It means ignorant. Why? Because that's what we were told coming up in school. In school, we were told that. Then our families bought into that, and we actually believed it. And we would call a white person, "You're acting like an N-word." But guess what? That white person never had to go and to a job, and as soon as they're looked upon, they look that way. As soon as the police come up, they automatically grabbing their guns. They were never looked that way. They are not that because it was never meant for that. That would be in the same way if I said that, hey, if you're black, I can call you a cracker. If you're black, I can call you a chink. If you're black, I can call you a wop. If you're black, I can call you a jap. No, I can't. Why? Because those negative words are referring to a specific group of people, just like the N-word is referring to a specific group of people. And when you tell me when you meet some Asian people walking around calling themselves Japs and Chinks. Let me know when you see that. Let me know. When you see that, it's just in their music and they just call it that, and it's a term of endearment. When it's a term of endearment. Not that they don't ever use it towards each other, but when they use it as a term of endearment. Let me know when that happens. Let me know when white people walk around calling themselves crackers and hunkies, and that means a term of endearment. Let me know when that happened. Because even on the Jeffersons, when he called Tom Willis that, it was always a negative term, and you never heard Tom Willis call himself that either. He didn't walk around calling himself that. No, you never heard it. Why? Because only black people have been foolish enough to believe whatever the white government, the white politician, the white news media, the white television show, the white music producers have ever decided what's going to be our mindset. And we just fall in line with it. If you want to know why that word has so much power, even though people say it doesn't have power, because it was a word that was used to strip us of who we were, then it was trained in us to separate us from the house and the slave Negroes. It was trained in us to use that word to keep us separate and keep us divided. We have been trained from slave mentality mindset to follow whatever the government and what they call education says we should follow. So when the word was changed to mean it could mean anybody, we jumped on board. You never seen anybody else jump on board, but we jumped on board, right? Why? Why? Because we basically are still suffering from a slave PTSD. We are still suffering from Jim Crow PTSD that has been passed along from generation to generation. We are still suffering from a mindset that says that we must agree with and follow whatever government says is what we should do. Just like there's you get so many, you got people in Africa calling each other that N-word. Why? Because they've been under colonial rule and they've been trying to say, we want to be like America. We need to be like America. That's what they've been told to be. And as they do that, they adopt those kinds of things and they put it into some of their music. But guess what? I guarantee the ones in states like in countries like Botswana and Rwanda and Benin and Ghana, let me tell you what they don't have. They don't have a rulership right now that's telling them that everything that's white is right. While we live in a country where that is the belief and that is the common thought, and we still do it. We will still do it. And every now and then I have to catch myself when I would, like, all of a sudden, like, I have that flashback of stupidity and ignorance and fall into that. But I'm telling you, the reason why Keisha Lansbottom got that text, got that message, is because that person thought that they were well within their right and it's acceptable for them to call her an N-word. And she's the mayor of Atlanta. The reason why Obama still gets it is for the same reason. We have been taught to hate ourselves so much that it is not even funny. And like everybody on YouTube should hear this message, that'd be great. What are some ways we can ways to separate the culture from that word? Well, here's one way we can start separating from that word. Because I don't like just getting up here and just a whole bunch of negative. Got to have some positive. Got to have there's no point in complaining if you're not going to have a solution, right? You know, otherwise shut up. You know, shut up and keep it moving. So here's the thing. One, we have to stop listening to the music or accepting the entertainment that utilizes the word. All right? Those forms, there we go, YouTube. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with YouTube. YouTube just tripped out for a second. It just blinked out. As soon as I got ready to start talking about solution, what does it do? It's gonna blink out on us. All right, that's crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right. So let's talk about solution. YouTube, you back? Let me know somebody on YouTube. Make sure y'all back. Make sure we good. All right. I know it like froze or went out or blinked out on mine. It just went away. YouTube, we good? Somebody send me a message. All right. I'm waiting on you, YouTube. I'm waiting. All right, because we gotta get a solution in here. We gotta talk about this because that was a good point of what we can do. What are some ways we can bring the culture back? I see the numbers going up for YouTube, so we good. All right, great. All right, Luther, appreciate it. Why people why appreciate it. All right, so here's the first thing that I was saying earlier. As far as in our, we have to look at where the money is. All right, if as long as we spend money on things that have negative programming like that, whether it's music, whether it's movies or any form of entertainment, as long as we are accepting it with our money, it's going to be a problem. All right, they're not going to stop. If you pay for it, they're going to keep going. Now, what is the saying? If you want to know what's important to a person, look at where they spend their time and look at how they spend their money. So first, stop spending your money with artists and entertainers and companies that utilize and promote that word. All right. Second, stop letting your kids or anyone around you utilize the word or listen to the entertainment that has that word. If my nephew Caden was listening to a song and it was using that word, no. My kids grew up knowing that they would not listen to songs that use that word. My kids are 24, 20, and 18. And I can't say what they do in private, but they know good and dang well they might not ever use that around me or listen to that around me, and they don't use that word. Right? Even though they are surrounded by people who do it all the time, but it has been ingrained in them not to. So we have to ingrain it into our kids to not use that word at all. And in this, I'm talking about the B word and that word, because our women should never be denigrated down, or it should never be denigrated down to that level. They should never be disrespected like that. Because when you disrespect a woman like that, you're disrespecting your mother, your sister, and your auntie, your grandmother, all of them. So either word, B's and N's, no. Don't use either one. So we got to stop. If it's a reality star person and they keep using, guarantee if they start saying, I'm going to stop, I'm going to unsubscribe because you use the N-word, I'm going to unsubscribe because you use the N-word, I'm going to unsubscribe because you use the N-word, I guarantee that YouTuber, that Instagrammer will stop using that word. And if those influencers stop using the word, it becomes less and less in the psychosis of young people who are listening to them and the people who are following them. Now, anytime some person, black or white, utilize that word in the public forum, TV, in social media, whatever, it is not this temporary BS ban that we do on people. That little white girl, she's going to use it. She not cried, apologize. And then for some reason, we always want to give white women a little extra reprieve as if they've suffered like black people have suffered because of women's suffrage. But no, even during the 1900s, the 1600s, 1800s, white women hid behind the white privilege of their white male husbands. So BS on the old white women are like us. Yeah, whatever. Heck no. So when this people like this little white girl utilize it, we cannot let up. We cannot ever let up. She would need to be the example to every other little white girl, white boy, that when you use this, yes, your life is over. Your life is ruined. You might as well go find you a job at the lowest level you can find it, because that's the only place you're going to be able to get it done. So no, and it's forgiveness because they might go and work with a black underprivileged organization. I don't care. No, that's a level of a mistake that a person, and I know this may sound harsh, you can't come back from it. Sorry. You need to know that the severity of it has a punishment. When something does, the city of New York in the early 1900s outlawed the usage of the word in print, but yet there was no punishment for the usage of the word. So what's the point? People can use it, but there's no punishment. If there's no stick, then all the person is getting is carrot. So you can't give the person the carrot. They got to get some stick with it. Otherwise, they're going to keep going. Typically, I only use the N-word when I'm angry with someone that I hate, and that I haven't outgrew. And you have to work on that because it shouldn't be used. Period. There are words in the English language that we do not use anymore. because the word went out of fashion, it went out of usage. So let's make it a word that does not, like, I don't have a problem not using the word no matter how angry I become, because it's not a part of my vocabulary. Like, no matter what a black person ever does to me, they will never be disrespected to that level. I'm never going to use that word to them. I might, want to beat the living daylights out of somebody. I may want to send a person to the third level of hell, but I wouldn't use that word. And a woman can do everything in the world, mistreat me, treat me foul, take all my money, do everything, whatever, cut my leg off. I will never call her a B. Never. And if I ever hear any of my girls saying that, trust me, it pisses me off. And we're going to have a little conversation, because why are you calling yourself a dog? Don't you know they have stolen your queendom by calling you that? And they stole it from the stars a long time ago, and you don't even realize it. And you think it's cool, it's funny. Why? Because you saw a Kardashian use it. You saw housewives use it. You saw your girl, your next door neighbor, your friend, they used it. Your mama used it. Because Gen X screwed this up. Gen X screwed this up, period. And we bought into the hype. So now, if you notice the dictionary, now I do remember when the dictionaries used to say that it's a word that means ignorant persons and, person of a lower class. But I went and researched the dictionaries today, and no, they don't say that crap anymore. They say it's a negative term utilized to disparage black people, to insult black people. It ain't talking about nobody else but black people. So the dictionaries have been corrected from their attempt to normalize the word so that it can mean anybody, right? But it's not there. No, it's not happening. So, like, first, money. Make sure that we're not spending money with anybody who utilizes it. Make sure that it's punishable. Make sure that we don't accept it in our own presence and in the usage for us. And I mean, just knowing no, just that simple thing right there. Just those simple things will stop it. And we have to stop using it in our own community, which means we have to be even more pissed off and disgusted and irritated when somebody who looks like us calls us that than anybody else. We cannot take the stance that the people on BET took to say that, if a black person called me that, it's cool. That's a term of endearment. But if a white person called me that, I'm going to beat them up, because when they use it, they mean something negative. But you use it, it means something positive. We can't take that stand. We have to take the stand that, when this white person called me that, I understand their upbringing, the way they grew up in white privilege and white superiority. I understand the psychosis that they on, pissed off, and they've been out using. They might get that tail whoop, but I can see why they still think that that's an appropriate thing, because they trying to hold us down. They don't want us to come back and take over. They don't want us to uplift ourselves. They want us to keep separate. I can understand the psychosis of the white person doing that, but you should be completely outraged when you hear a black person call you the N-word, because you should be saying, oh my God, we have suffered, our families have suffered, our ancestors have suffered through the same stuff. When both of us go out on the street, no matter how much money we make, no matter how much education we have, no matter how law-abiding we are, no matter how much we follow our beliefs and our religion, that cop sees nothing but an N-word. That Tiger Woods can be the best golfer in the world, but he's an N-word. Michael Jordan can shoot that ball and be great. He's an N-word. It doesn't matter. You could build the biggest business. I don't know Oprah Winfrey, N-word. I don't know who the biggest black business person is in your city, your state, but they could be that person. And they still just that when a cop sees them. They still just that when they walk into a court of law, unless they got that, unless they're known by that judge to have a great lawyer. But it doesn't matter. You take a black man, put him in the best suit in the world, and most will say he's just an N in a suit. So we got to be even more outraged when our own kind, because you suffer through the same thing. So you need to understand, we need to uplift each other. We are fighting the same fight. We are in the same deficit. So why in the world would we denigrate each other like that? We already have enough to fight over here. So why do you want me to fight a two-front war? Why would you want my psychosis to be that I am less than human, substandard, that I am ignorant, that I am beneath you, lower than you, that I should be stripped of all my dignities? Why should my own brother who fights the same fight, deal with the same stuff, do that, feel that way? We shouldn't. So we have to be even more outraged when a black person calls another black person that word. We cannot let it pass by. We cannot let it just float through our mind and think that it has a positive. Do you understand the confusion that your mind is going through when you're saying that this word is negative, no, it's positive. This word, no. This is not the this violates the law of polarity. The law of polarity is either it is a great word or it is an evil word. There is no two. There is no duality of that in the sense that it's one and the same and it has the same vibration. This has a negative frequency, this has a negative vibration, and that's all it can be. It can't be anything other than that. And the moment we come to a full realization of that, then you'll stop using the word, and then you'll stop allowing other people to use that word to you, towards you. So we have to be vigilant about that aspect of it too, and making sure that, and at the end of the day, is where the money is, where our money is going. We can't spend money with these people who are treating us this way. The same way, if Bill Gates came out and he just went ranting, talking about some in this and in that, in, right? I guarantee black people will boycott Microsoft in a heartbeat. That everybody be out talking all kind of trash. If the what was it? The son, I think, of Chick-fil-A had something like that to say, and black people got mad. But then black people forgave him and still in the lines at Chick-fil-A. You know, I don't know if he actually said it though, so I don't know. But I remember seeing something about them saying something negative, but I don't know if they said it or not. But I do remember Tommy Hilfiger saying that he didn't make his clothes for black people; he meant it for golfers. And then black people got mad, but yet they still kept buying it, right? Yeah, and the Papa John's guy and all this kind of thing. So I mean, if you if it really means something to you, if you really want to build a black community, then the first thing we have to do, everybody say, oh, let's build a black community. We got to buy our own houses, get our credit fixed, that sort of thing. And we do. You know, we do. That's why I put out the other day that my Financial Alchemy DIY book at CoachRenz.com is only $29.99 right now. Because we do need to build our credit. We do need to buy the land that we live on. We do need to do all those things. But we can do all those things on the outside. But if our mind hasn't changed, then nothing will ever matter because we're still going to revert to the same thing. We're still going to revert to the same thing. There are so many black people who have houses, have great credit, make a lot of money, but they still walk around calling their children this word, right? And just setting up this negative aspect to their child. Not that, and here's the thing. That child may still go on and become what we would deem as financially successful, as well as being emotionally successful and relationship successful. But success is not you compared to other people. Success is you compared to what you could have been. Imagine if that child had grown up without any negative connotations towards themselves in their mind, and they had grown up at a point always knowing that they are just as amazing and as great as any other human that's walking around this planet. That they weren't of a mindset where their own parents thought of them in this negative connotation. That here's this child going through school learning that this word was used to strip their family of all their dignities, but then they come home and here's their father, their mother, their cousin, their sister using that same word towards them. Doesn't make any sense, because you do not go into a Italian home and hear the mother calling her child, you dirty little wop. You're acting like a wop. You don't hear that. You won't. You don't hear that. You don't hear family members calling each other those names. No, but black people, we do it. We do it. So we have to stop it because we're basically committing mental abuse. This is verbal abuse to a child and to an adult. So stop. We have to stop doing this. We have to stop now. All right? Yes, Jose, you are super late. You'll have to go back and start over and watch it from the beginning. But I appreciate my family. They're in the kitchen cooking, and because, you know, COVID, we all here together, and they're being quiet. So I'm going to end this so that they can, you know, bang some pot and pans the way that we really get to cooking around here. So I appreciate you guys. Hey, I'm working on a couple of videos. One of them I really want you guys to be looking out for, where I'm going to break. I know we like to talk about the movie The Matrix, but before I bring this video to you, now, you know, we might do it as a live. I don't know. because I got so many pictures. The Truman Show. The Truman Show is a better understanding of the matrix that we live in than the actual matrix is, right? So before we get into this one, I want everybody to go and read or listen to any video about Plato's analogy of the cave. All right, listen to Plato's analogy of the cave, and in a few days we'll do a live, or it'll be a video that I put out that will break down the Truman Show and the matrix that we live in and how we escape from the cave based on Plato's analogy. It's a great thought process. It's a great thought exercise, and it actually, this video does have a similarity to it, because we are like those sit in the cave who can't look left or right, and all you see are the shadows, and you believe that the shadows is reality. You believe it's reality. We'll call each other crabs in the bucket. We'll say that black people don't support black businesses. We'll say all those things because we're believing what we've been told by government. We're believing what we're being told by everybody else, instead of believing in ourselves and actually realizing what's real and what's not. Because I have a black business, it's been supported. My wife has a black business, black people support it. In the area in Atlanta, there are tons of black businesses that are supported by black people. So whoever goes around saying this, you're telling lies, and those lies become even more pervasive. And what does it do? It causes black people who say they're going to start a business to not do it in the black community, because we've already set them up to fail in their mind. It may not be it's not the reality, it's in their mind. And then the other aspect of it is that we're already putting a negative when we see a black business. We already preconditioned to believe that it's not up to par, it's not as good. If an Asian person came in and did the same thing, I'm gonna run to them. If an Indian came in and did the same thing, I'm gonna run to them. If a white person came and did this, I'm gonna run to them. Because if a black person did it, it can't be as good. Because we already have a negative mindset towards that, because we're listening to what we've been told. And that black person can have the best product, best customer service, and we will ignore them. And that also makes black entrepreneurs not do their business as well as they should and be a complete entrepreneur. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of things like that going forward. One of my goals is to help people to understand how to become a complete entrepreneur, and also how to become complete citizens within the black community, instead of us, and I'm gonna say it's true, being brainwashed citizens in the black community. Because as long as we keep putting each other down, we're just following the brainwashing that this overlord system has already put in place for us, because we think we can play the game their way. We can't. We have to play a different game. All right, the oppressed can't play the same game as the oppressor. That's why the oppressed remains the oppressed. That's why you want to know why Asians have moved forward ahead of black people? It's because they're not playing the game of their oppressor, which was white America oppressing the Asians when they first came over to America as well. But they played a different game. We got to play a different game. They're reinvesting back into their homeland, and they're connected with their homeland. We're not doing that. We have to play a different game. You get it? You with me? You understand? So let's keep moving forward, guys. I know, like I said in the very beginning of this video, if you felt offended by some of the ways that I said these things, I meant for you to feel offended. If you found like I was being demeaning, I meant for you to feel that way, because when we use these terms towards each other, we are demeaning each other. We are speaking each other down, not speaking each other up. And sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will devastate you. Words will devastate you. So y'all have a great day. And as always, remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And as always, I struggle to turn these things off.